Alrighty, it's a new day. Um, Still been very stumped by my new discoveries of the Firewall and the rocker. The car still sits the same. Well, I might as well show you rather than showing me. The car basically still sits the same, no front end on it. And I've basically just been trying to figure out what the hell I want to do. So I got this way better than it was. And obviously since it ripped itself apart and I had to kind of mangle it to straighten some shit out, I'm probably going to take care of getting this thing zapped back together today. I think I'm going to try to, I'm going to bend this shit back over and basically put it into the spot of where it would be when I weld it. And then from there, I want to take the fender and try to like rough fit the fender and see what it looks like. See if the fender can actually go where it's supposed to, or see if this thing's way more tweaked than I thought. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so roughly just threw the fender back on, and I only threw in the one bolt that goes in here, and it definitely fits way better than it did before. So that's good news, at least. That's one thing that's actually making me somewhat happy right now. So obviously you can see that it's still in a lot. Like, it's way close to the windshield. And I can't even get my finger in here. And we'll have to go around to the other side of the car. I can finger the living shit out of this and it's fine. You know, that's a good thumb width away, I'd say. Right? I'm gonna go back over. I'm not getting my thumb in there. So one way or another, I need to have this thing come like out more, or there's a very big possibility that the fender itself is slightly tweaked. So I might have to play with this area right here and try to get this to come up. Because actually feeling it, it's rippled right here. So I might have to try to massage this part of the fender up more. Because right at the tip of it, it's almost okay. And then back here though, it's super tight. So you can actually see that on camera right there. So I might try to play with just getting this, like this triangular piece to kind of come up a little bit more, you know, kind of like up and out. Alright, I'd say this is probably as stitched as I'm going to go with it. Like I said, if I do the whole thing, it'd be kind of pointless. But, oh, not bad. I mean, just as it is, I can rock the whole car just off of this spot now. So it's definitely stronger than it was. Sucks that this is the extent that I'm going to go to with it, but like I said, if this wasn't in my plans, I would have done the car completely differently up to this point, you know. And I definitely do want to get this thing back together and get this thing outside so my mom doesn't kill me with having this in the garage for so long. So, ain't the prettiest, but it's back together for the most part. So I'll definitely want to, since now it's actually stronger, I definitely want to straighten up this edge more. Like, I definitely, like, you know, like this, where it's like wavy. I want to be able to straighten this up to nearly, you know, flush. Obviously, except down here, I'm not going to be able to. But, because it's supposed to look like this, you know, it's supposed to be a nice flat pinch weld all the way up. So it's definitely better than it was when I found it. So you can see back here, at least now we actually have that part of the firewall. And that basically just, the fender hugs that when the fender's on. Alrighty, so just basically clean this general area up. Wire wheeled whatever shit I could off of it. Whatever little surface rust is there, I'll probably just end up spraying with rust reformer just to prevent anything from spreading. And I figure at least off the bat right now, I'll probably spray from somewhere over here over, just to basically cover this general area, kind of all here. So yeah, like I said, some areas I'll hit some rust reformer, some areas I'll hit some self-etching primer, where, you know, some of this is just all clean metal, and go from there. Like, I would also, I can't fucking think today. I would also like to spray this door black. So when you look in, or whatever the case may be, you open the door, everything you see is black. So I'm gonna take a shot at trying to get majority of this sprayed black as well. This door realistically should be replaced though, so I'm not gonna go too crazy at making it nice. If I end up keeping this thing, I would do a new fender, a new door, obviously needs a new rocker, and, you know, goes down the list from there. But yeah, so I'm gonna get the painting. Alrighty, so after some rust reformer and some primer, started to lay some black down. Definitely looks way better than before. Got a little bit into here. So I ran out of paint. This thing literally had like nothing in it. I'm honestly surprised it got me as far as it did. But yeah, it started coming out good. So hide some of the ugliness, makes it look normal again. So yeah, just seeing this kind of shit gives me faith that when I spray more and more and more, this thing's gonna clean up pretty decent. So with that being said, I need to run to Home Depot or Home Cheapo to go pick up more paint. Alrighty, so I ended up obviously covering the engine and whatnot. I sanded most of the shit down, hit some rust reformer in certain spots, and I also put some more self-etching primer onto any bare spots. Once this shit dries up, I'll go over everything now with my new Rust-Oleum, and like I said, just try to do this area. And like I said, I might as well just do everything while I'm here, while I'm in here, before I can't get back into it again. And you know, once this kind of stuff is, you know, drying up, I can take care of also cleaning up this. I'll probably spray this when it's in the car, just because if it oversprays, it won't matter, and then I won't be having to touch it right after I paint it, and yada yada yada. But yeah, there's still plenty of shit that obviously this car needs to have done to be done, if you will. But I know taking care of some stuff like this right now will just help me be able to get the body back together and not have to think twice about any of this stuff. So alrighty, so forget if I showed this or not. Sprayed that much of the firewall. I want to say I did 2 or 3 coats on this. You see the inside of the door, pretty good. So this is done drying, or at least the area that I need to be done drying is done drying. And I also just sprayed that box as well. So I am going to be using this stuff, big black caulk. And like I said, I need to, you know, seal up some questionable areas here. But originally there was like a line of sealant all the way across this, like this pinch weld almost, or this, I don't even know, this overlap. So I removed all of it except for I think literally like right here before I painted. So what I want to do, at least right now, is take this silicone and be able to get a bead. I'm not going to go all the way since I don't have any of that shit cleaned over there, but I'm mostly just going to focus on trying to get a clean bead. I'll probably start up here since I already have it painted. So I'll probably start and just come down here and all the way down to where it should be. So, and then also, like I said, fill up, you know, this gap here and whatnot, just to basically get this thing sealed up before I go to throw the fender back on it. So let's knock that out really quick. Alrighty, so I guess I'm the idiot because, you know, who would have thought that black caulk is actually gray, but whatever. So this edge here, so there was silicone here already. That's why I put this back. There's also some back here, so I did it here. And then here, you can see I just have the thin bead where it should be. That comes up into there. And like I said, this shit was already here, so I just left it because it was actually in good shape, like right here. And I did it around, all down, all the way down. So, and then nothing on this side. So, for those who don't know, little tips or tricks with silicone. Once you apply it, I guess I'm assuming it's water-based. I don't know, I would assume it's water-based to some extent. Not too sure if that's why this works, but so I put this glove on. I thought that the pack of gloves had multiple gloves. It literally just has 2, so that kind of sucks, but whatever. So I just dipped this finger in the water, and then I ran that down along the sides to smooth it out. And that basically allows it to smooth out rather than just all of it come up onto your finger and like make everything sticky and whatnot. So did that, and then I went over it with a wet rag and then a dry rag to clean up the excess along the edges. Little goes a long way, as they used to say. So that's good. I guess while this is drying, I'll start messing with the fender. I'll probably spray the back of it and then try to bend out this top part here, try to get it out a little bit more. And it's probably gonna take me a couple test fits before I get it like A-okay, which I'm probably gonna scratch the living shit out of this paint, but what are you gonna do? So, gonna work on the fender now, I guess. Like I said, I'll spray this. You can see this is actually silver. I'll spray the fender liner when it's actually in the car, just because it's gonna be easier. So I'll do that then, and I'm pretty sure the fender liner has to go in before the actual fender does. Yeah, I guess I'll start working on that. Like I said, I'd be happy if I could get some panels back onto this thing tonight. And it already makes me feel better knowing that this stuff's sprayed, now it's resealed. And I am gonna use the same silicone for when I put the fan box and heater cover back on, which is over here. I don't know if it's done drying or not. I should probably do a second coat of paint on it. But yeah, looks good. So, Tammy Lynn. Good old Tammy Lynn. But yeah, that looks tons better already. So we're getting there. I knew that this fender was fucked from the get-go. Originally, I'll see if I have pictures of it, or if you can see it. You probably seen it like a walk-around video when I got the car originally. So this is the side that would go up to the nose, and this is the back side of it that would go to the door, technically, right? So if you're looking at it this way, basically this whole bottom side was like kind of dented in and like a little ripply looking, and you could just see like one of the cracks in the Bondo. So when I first pulled it off, I figured this thing was complete trash because it has this wonderful thick ass piece of metal welded here, and then I can't tell what the hell's going on down here, right? So obviously you can see some rust. You can see my hand moving through that, right? Whatever. So for shits and giggles, I started beating it out, and it actually started to come out a little bit. So I was like, all right, I might as well take the Bondo off, try to beat this thing as straight as I can, and for the meanwhile, I would rather rock something with rust than rock something that is disgustingly caked in Bondo, and it's not even a good job of Bondo, you know? So right now, as you can see, the chunks that have come off, and then all of the dust I've created, once again, as always. So basically right now, I'm just gonna try to get all the Bondo off, beat this thing as straight as I can, and then from there, I'll go to putting it on the car. Alrighty, this thing's de-bondoed. So just picture, this whole section was covered in Bondo, and basically right here around the bottom, it had cracked off for the most part, and you could start to see it cracking throughout it. So it looks better already, even though it looks like shit. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of rust in like this patch here. I'm at that point. I don't care. I don't even care anymore. There's also rust right here. That sucks, but it could be worse. So as you can see, the rest of the fender is actually very solid. I was able to smooth this out and bend it up a little bit. So we'll see if I did too much or too little. And then here's the dent I was talking about. This was actually a lot worse right here, but I can't get this out, but this was worse. Sorry, this was worse. I got most of it out, and then this one I can't even get to. So not worried about it. And the rest of this thing's mint. So I'm gonna try getting this thing a little bit straighter. Basically just the bottom edge of it straighter, because as you can see, it's not the happiest down here where it's rusty. So I'm gonna try to finesse this thing a little bit straighter and start test fitting it back on the car, see what we're working with. All right, ladies and gents. Rough fit, just threw this on. I'd record myself doing so much of this stuff, but I'm scared to scratch up all of this paint and whatnot. So at least that looks pretty back there, because you'll never see it. So I bent this thing out probably just enough, I'd say. Looks pretty damn good to me. Door gap's pretty fat. See at the bottom. And we can see just that, like, to me, this looks better than it did before. Just it's a 5-10 minutes with a hammer and having to it took longer to take the Bondo off than it did to get this thing majority straight. So I'm happy with how it's looking so far. Just by looking at it, I'm pretty sure that the fender itself can come back. So I might try to do that really quick to line up with these mounts. And then to also have it lined up a bit better with this and try to get it a bit better with the door. Now, like I said, I have not messed with the mounts on the bottom of this thing yet. So basically, it's just sitting in with this one bolt here. So we'll see if I can shift it back a little bit, maybe rock it, just to try to get it to line up better. Alrighty, so disregard this because since this is like a plasticky rubber kind of bumper, it moves a lot when it's actually tight. So now we have, these holes are just about lined up. This hole is basically lined up. I have it slid back and still have it up. Like I said, I don't have those mounts in. But look at that fucking panel gap. That's what we're chasing. The body line, I think it's good. Like, look at that. Look how good that looks. Ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous. So much fucking better. Wow. That's awesome to see. Alrighty, I like that. I like that. So we're getting there. At least we're seeing progress. Like I think I said early in the series, visual progress is so much better on your brain than just doing stupid little stuff here and there that you're like, oh, I know this is better for it, but it's not actually looking better. I'm not seeing anything. Like now that I'm seeing something, hot diggity damn, looks better. So I think this could come up a little bit more. Kind of hard to say exactly if it's like, I might be able to swing with the way that I mount the fender that I don't have to beat it up any more than it already is. So that would be kind of nice. I didn't realize that there's a couple dents in it along the top. It's whatever. Yeah, man, we're getting there. It looks so much better. Like compare this side, right? I'm actually gonna take a picture while I'm taking this video. So we have that. So now we go over here. We have that. Look how much closer that is in like just being a thing. Let me move this. Disregarding everything else in this picture, in the frame, she's looking good. She's looking normal, which is nice to see. It's a nice change. So I'm gonna go feed the puppies, spend a little bit of time with them, and when I come back out, I'll probably start looking into actual assembly. So, alrighty. So unfortunately, my box for this, it's not tacky, but it's still like a little bit tacky. It's a little bit tackier than I would like to be having to manhandle it and put it back on. So I'm definitely gonna leave that off for tonight. I do want to throw the fender on though for shits and giggles, and I might be able to reach in there and still be able to get to it. Maybe not. But I threw in, so far, I threw in 2 bolts into the battery tray, and then I threw in 1 bolt down here. I think there's one more spot for another one, and then I have the one mount somewhere down. I think it's this one. I have this mount. So this thing's a little rattly still because it's barely held in, but it'll be a lot sturdier once these are into the actual fender itself. So like I said, I'm gonna throw the fender on and we'll see what we're looking like. Alrighty, so for shits and gigs, I threw the fender back on just to kind of see what kind of fitment we're working with. So far, everything does actually look very good. Yeah, everything's looking good so far. My only issue is I definitely cannot get this, fan box back in comfortably. So the fender only has the one bolt back there again, and then I have one, actually I don't even think I don't even have a bolt to the fender liner yet. So I know that everything lines up well, everything looks good still. So first thing tomorrow, what I'll be doing is the fan box will go back onto the Firewall. The fender obviously needs to come off for that, and I want to rust reform and clean up the back of the fender and get it painted so that any rust that's there will stop. Yeah, and then, you know, kind of just keep going on the assembly process from there. Alrighty, so on the back of this panel, there's actually like a little channel that I guess either silicone or a gasket of some sort is supposed to be in it. I would assume silicone. But so I just laid down a pretty decent bead all the way around. And right before this, I actually test fit this panel in here. And it fits better than it did, but it's still not absolutely perfect. So that's especially why I didn't go too light on the silicone, because even if the outer edge doesn't look like it's making the best connection, I know that the silicone will create a good seal. And then per se, future reference when this thing's, you know, being driven on the road, there's not going to be any cross draft going in through here and escaping through into the car. So I'm going to now tediously and carefully place this on. And I already picked out my hardware, and the one bolt didn't have a washer, so I added a washer. And I tried getting this one off that was already on it. I could not get this fucking thing off. So unfortunately, it's going to be mismatched hardware, but I think when I'm done with it, whatever paint, I'm definitely going to be chipping up paint and shit. So next time that I go to spray something, I'll probably lightly dabble over a couple spots that, you know, whatever I scratch, or, you know, some of the hardware, just to kind of blend it in, make everything black, and, you know, keep it simple looking. So let's throw her on. Alrighty, we are back on. Looks fucking awesome. So funny enough, you actually can't even see the mismatch hardware because you have the one bolt here and the other one's down lower. There's two nuts on the bottom side, and then you have these two over there, and then this one up top. So actually, I forgot, I need to put this little rubber holder back on, because I believe that holds, what the fuck did I do with it? This wire goes onto this little sensor right here. So there's actually supposed to, like I just said, be this holder, I'm pretty sure, off of this top one to hold that. So I need to back this nut back off, throw this thing on, I get the wire into there. But before I throw the wire in, I think I'll clean up whatever little areas, like I scratched the paint and whatnot, and just hit them with a little dabble of black paint, get this thing to look mint, and then keep going on from there. I think next up after that will be prepping this thing up a little bit, just spraying the area that I'm not going to be able to see or touch again, and try to get the fucking fender back on. Yeah, we're just going to keep the ball rolling, but it looks so much better than it did. So a little bit of paint, a little bit of prep work, and a little bit of patience goes quite a long way with something like this, I guess. So coming out good. Alrighty, got this thing on, looks mint, painted the couple bolts that I wanted to. I installed that little rubber holder piece, so once the paint dries a little bit up on the bolt, just so I don't smear it and whatnot, because obviously I got it on a little bit of the surrounding area just to, you know, kind of blend it rather than saturate it. I cleaned up this little sensor piece, and my dumbass forgot to actually tape off the piece that the sensor goes onto, a little prong. So cleaned up that with a little bit of sandpaper, and then I will take care of getting the sensor ran onto there and plugged in, but I don't have to do that right now. So I am gonna focus on some other shit. Once it dries up a little bit more, I'm gonna take care of starting to, I guess you could say, start sanding down this piece. I don't know exactly how much I'm going to sand, but I definitely wanna smooth it out a good bit before I throw any paint on it. And I'm thinking, I was looking up pictures of these cars, and it seems like usually these are some sort of like satin or like flat black. Alrighty, so I prepped this thing up a decent bit. I cleaned it already. Definitely already looks better than it did, just for the fact that it's almost all black. So that's that. It's all smoothed out basically in the areas especially that you're gonna see it. And then here I laid on a decently heavy bit of rust reformer, even though I did sand off any rust that I could. I didn't pull the wire wheel out just because I don't feel like doing that right now. So I also cleaned up this whole back section, and I cleaned up basically this whole area and this whole top. Basically anything that you see is going to get painted like the flat satinish black that I have. I'm not gonna paint the top of this, but I do wanna paint this whole area. And I don't know if I wanna do the side piece or not. I might, maybe not, probably not, honest. You know, probably I will. I'll probably paint this whole under area all here. So yeah, got this wrapped up around the box, tucked into the bottom. I'm definitely gonna cover this off when I actually go to paint it so that stays gloss black. Yeah, so I think this will add a nice contrast when the bay is said and done, or at least, you know, in its next phase. So I'm excited to see how this is gonna turn out, but I'm gonna start shaking the shit out of my cans while this dries. Like I said, I already cleaned everything. So yeah, almost ready to paint this. Now, when I go to paint this, since it's a bit chillier out, it did warm up a little bit, but since it's a bit cooler than, you know, recommended painting temperatures, I am gonna have to take my time with this and go light. I'm not gonna be able to get away with doing any sort of heavy coats. Otherwise it's gonna clump up, look like shit, crack and whatnot. So this is gonna take a little bit, but I have other stuff I can deal with in the meantime of, you know, if I do a very light coat, go jump on something else, preferably I can start cleaning up the backside of the fender and whatnot. So, which I might do outside just because I actually think I do have to wire wheel this. We'll see. I don't know. Not worried about that right now. But, oh yeah. It's going to look a lot better next time you see it. Figured I'd make this little update. Digging through my little paint stash that I have no satin black. I only have flat black. And I think it would look okay. I kind of want a little bit of a shine though. So I used this stuff on my windowsill of my Mustang when I repainted all the trim, and it actually came out very nice. It was like it was more so of like a satin finish, you know. It had a little bit of a sheen to it, but it wasn't like gloss, I guess you could say, even though the cap is gloss. So I just did a little spray test on the inside of this panel, and I don't know if it's really gonna do anything since I did like one little coat and I didn't really shake this up too well. But I have a full can, and I have this can, which is at least half full, I'd say. So I might try this out and see what it looks like. Apparently it's also flexible as well, which I think would be nice for the fender wells since I know they do move around a little bit. So you know, we might see. I'm gonna see how this. I mean, this basically looks flat. So I might end up just spraying this and see what the hell happens. But yeah, figured I'd update. This is probably what I'm gonna end up using. So I think I'm 2.5 coats, somewhere like that into this. Looks fucking killer compared to what it did. So definitely gonna go over it with a third coat. You can see back there's black. I haven't fully covered it yet. A little bit difficult with the way that this thing sprays. It's like it's kind of like a, you know, so a little bit difficult to get into certain areas with that spray pattern. But yeah, we're definitely looking better. So I think this will look awesome. I'm excited to take this off. I'm not going to touch anything yet. I'm excited to see what this looks like against the gloss black. I think it's going to be that little bit of a contrast that makes a difference. Alrighty, so I just got the inside of this thing cleaned up, sealed up, neutralized, whatnot. So that's all good to go. Just going to let that dry for a couple more minutes. And look how this came out. Well, if I'll be damned. That looks good. That looks like quality work. So super stoked on that. There was one little spot on the back side of this that I just touched up because I figure I'm never gonna be able to get to it again. So very happy with how everything came out here. This looks fucking killer. Same with down here, everything's black down there. So now, you know, once the fender's on, you know, it's just nice and clean, Like I said, at some point soon I would like to get this sprayed and then also tidy up into this wraparound. So the perimeter of the bay will look very nice. Obviously suspension's gonna look like this for now, which is whatever. Engine is still gonna look the same kind of crustiness, whatever. And then maybe I'll test out some products or different things on plastics and see how much I can wake these things up and see if they're savable. I know one thing I do need to try to locate is one of these. So that would probably be pretty nice. But yeah, we're definitely coming along. Definitely looking good. So we're just getting one step closer to the full assembly and bodywork as we go. So now, before I throw the fender on, I'm gonna hop under the car. I'm gonna basically lay right here, right next to my mess of Bondo, and attempt to try to straighten out that pinch weld, and on top of that, try to clean up the mount where the fender's gonna go. And yeah, just kind of go from there. But look at that. That looks fucking awesome. Wow. Love it. Alrighty, so like anything else, after a little bit of heat management, some patience, some banging and some pulling, I actually was able to straighten out. So basically, let me lay back down here. You can see how much shit fell off. Most of this is actually from the rust hole, which is right there. That's actually, let me see if I can switch hands. This is carpet. That's carpet, so yeah. Yeah. So basically, I was able to straighten this out pretty good. Originally, this was actually folded just about flat, and it's same with probably from about here back on the pinch weld. And you can see I'm never gonna be able to get this actually straight because of the rocker actually being crunched inwards. So I got it as straight as I could without going too much, without trying to tear anything. And I think I could probably straighten this out a little bit more, so I'll probably do that now. But originally, so this is one of the fender bolts. The mount is somewhere down here. I forget exactly where I'd have to. Is that it? Yeah, you see that hole. So basically, I couldn't even get this fucking fender bolt out because it's like this with the big washer, and this was actually folded over onto the washer. So every time I've been mounting the fender, I've been slipping it on and off the bolt in there. So obviously the correct thing is to have it freed up. So I did that, and then this is the other mount for the bottom of the fender. So far so good. Everything down here is looking awesome. So I'm going to finish getting this shit straight, clean it up, paint it, seal it, yada yada yada, and then we will be ready to throw the fender on permanently, which is very exciting news. So we're moving at a pretty decent pace today. I'm excited with that. And sometime soon I would like to take care of and address the hole in the floor, but I've got plenty of other shit that I need to take care of. So yeah, and honestly, for what this firewall is, you know, for keeping it original, it's definitely cleaned up and straightened up a lot more than I was expecting. I was expecting the thing to stay crunched in, so we are looking good. Alrighty, so after a long time of tinkering with it, I think this is where I'm gonna leave it. I think it actually came out pretty damn good. I do say so myself. I ain't too mad about that gap. So it's fitting pretty well. Looks pretty damn good for what it is. You know, for what I did, happy with it. And then just look at this. Just look at that. Just look at that side of the bay. How nice that looks. Even though you can't see half of what I did, it's, you know, it's just a good piece of mind to have. So definitely looks good. Here's a little before and after what the bay is going to turn out to look like. So I'm very, very, very excited with this progress. This puts me in a good spot. I do need to go pick up a couple more of these nuts. This is what mounts the front of the fender to the bumper, because the bumper itself has studs coming out and then slips through the fender. I'll try to show you. Where the hell is it? Right here. So you can see this is from, oh, there it is down there. I don't know if I can, all right, so there's the top one. This is the only one that was on. So basically, this is the edge of the fender. It's like that lip that you're looking at. And I'll shove you in there more. That stud comes off the bumper itself. So I need, in total, it looks like to be 2 or 3 of them. It's probably missing a couple, so maybe I'll just grab a good amount of them. So I need to pick these up. And then I also need to pick up a couple of whatever thread pitch and size this bolt is, because this is the this is what does the fender liner to the fender itself. So like that's this bolt, that would be this one, and I'm sure there's a bunch others. Oh, actually, yeah, like in here I have one of them in, but there's 1, 2, I think 3, 4. There's at least 4 missing. So I would like to go pick up more of these, and maybe in a shorter length if possible, or try to stay around this length. But yeah, she came out pretty damn good. Another thing I need to pick up too is washers. So if you look over at the driver's side, see those little spacers under the fender itself. These little square, oh, see those little square things right there? Oh, right there. So I need to pick up more spacers because I do have, oh shit. I do have washers run under here, but I would like to get you know, more solid ones, or at least same size, nicer, clean, like zinc coated ones or something, just so everything looks nicer. You can actually see how this looks with the wire ran across it. And I wouldn't mind fixing this grommet that actually holds that wire, and then also be able to cut in my temp sensor and my oil pressure gauge in through there as well, just so everything looks nice and tidy. But Tammy's taking shape, boys. She's looking good. Alrighty, got the little cow plastic piece off. This thing's actually mint, so I've been very, very careful with it. I only had 2 screws holding it in. Of course, they were mismatched, so I'll try to, which was right here. Of course, they were mismatched though, so I would like to, you know, put some matching hardware. But you can just see how much shit is inside of here. So I need to break out the shop vac, vacuum all this out, vacuum up all the stuff on top. Alrighty, so might as well mention this little singular nut back here is what holds on the wiper arms to like the motor itself. So it's just a little 13mm nut. I just popped that off. You can see now this wants to move, and this is all dirty, greasy, and grimy. So it's probably supposed to be greased up in certain spots, but not all of it, obviously. So I'll definitely take care of cleaning this up in a bit, but pop this off, and then out front, there is an 8mm there, and an 8mm there, and then all the way down, where is it? There's an 8mm down tucked in the back, which I used this many extensions to get to. They all broke easy. So I'm gonna pop them off. And I don't even wanna pull the motor fully. I mean, I might end up doing it if that ends up just being easier, but I don't even know it. Oh, okay, that's nice. Oh, it's got like a little resistor in it. That's cute. I'll tape that up nicer. I might end up pulling the motor out completely and painting parts of the motor as well, just to clean it up. I don't really plan on it, but if it's easy enough to pull out, I might. I was just planning on pulling it out and like laying it in the engine and tarping everything off here. So we'll see what ends up happening. But like I said, 3/8, 113. Pop this thing off and we'll see what we're looking like. Alrighty, so I'd say I'm done with the wiper motor. I didn't put a crazy amount of time into it, but it's definitely nicer than it was. Just dust on it. So I basically just did a, there's some shit all over it now. I just did a quick polish on the aluminum. If I sanded it more, I'm sure I could actually get it to like shine, but at least now it's protected and it won't oxidize. And then anything that was steel, I sprayed with Rust Reformer and then black paint. And I just cleaned up this cap and threw it back on. So cleaned up pretty damn good, I would say, for, like I said, the minimal amount of time I did put into it. Just did it kind of kill some time on the side. Alrighty, just getting ready to clean this up. So save some time and some watch effort, because I already know my videos are gonna be long as shit. We'll do the little, oh, no. Ow, fuck. Let me try it with this hand. My fucking thumb hurts on that side. Alrighty, so I just laid down my last coat on the Firewall. You know, Firewall cowl, you know, this piece. Came out good, went a little overkill. I sprayed the inside of it. Figured I might as well while I'm here. Alrighty, so I ended up buttoning up a good bit of stuff while I was on the phone with my wonderful lady friend, Audrey. So, got this piece popped back in, or I guess starting off, I did the wiper motor assemblies back in, so I did the 3 bolts, I did the 13mm nut on the back, put the wipers back down, aligned everything, popped this piece back in. I put 2 new screws in here, just because they were mismatched originally, and then I just started tidying up some of the wires in here. This little green wire sticking out actually runs up to here and is not neatly ran up there. That's for the horns, funny enough. It's to the dashboard. So I just have that tucked into here. Wire comes out of here for the brakes, it looks like. Yep, yeah, so that's for the brakes. Ran these wires up here, you know, tried to make this look decent. I taped all of this harness up just so, because it was all exposed wires, I didn't like that. And then this one right here is the one that had like that little resistor on it. So plugged these back in, routed it decent, just tied it up out of the way. Just to, obviously I'm not deleting stuff and doing a shaved engine bay, but just to tidy it up, I would say it looks pretty decent. And then coming around the other side, I pop this grommet out, because this grommet's never been in since I've owned the car. It's been just like dangling here, which had this wire for like the heater box on it. So I pulled it out, I cut a slit in it. I was able to get all of my 2 auxiliary sensors, the heat box wire thing, and then there's another wire that runs into it. I forget where this one comes from. Alrighty, I think the last time I filmed, I just did the firewall and maybe some of the buttoning up with it. So everything looking good. You can't even see that grommet. That has everything running through it now. Have majority of the stuff tied up nicely. And then I sprayed this inner fender as well. So at least it matches. I cleaned up this and the hoses. And then I just added back on this little guy. Polished it up. I chemically stripped it because it was sprayed black and it was peeling in a couple spots. So I feel like that's a nice little pizzazz, if you will. So it's looks better than it did. So far so good. She's looking good. I would love to spray the air filter cleaner housing thing, but it's the last thing on my agenda right now.